To Silverstone for the 7th of 8 meetings in the 2019 BRSCC Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. First visit of the year to Silverstone. We haven't had a visit to the national circuit, so everybody looking forward to their outing here on part of the Grand Prix circuit. Before we go into racing, let's have a look at the championship points after our last meeting on Anglesey. Leading the championship by a slender margin, 3.5 points, is Andrew Porter from Gary Lawrence. Then Nick Hull, Lee Bowden, Anthony Hutchins and Rick Styrin completing the top 6. In the Classic 924s, it's Hugh Pert from Pete Smith. Then John Jones, Chris Valentine, Andy Pritchard and Carl Rossin. Our first grid of the weekend. Andrew Porter starts on the front row, but he's P2. And alongside poleman Gary Lawrence, Anthony Hutchins and Lee Bowden row 2. The 924's headed by Pete Smith from Hugh Pert, with Chris Valentine and John Jones completing the lineup. We are sharing with the Alfa Romeos again. We've got a mixed bag of Alfas, which we'll talk more about. And the Porsche runners are going to be started in the traditional way, by the Union flag, which is out of shot as far as I can see, but a good start by Gary Lawrence. And on the inside line is Andrew Porter, who's having a very good go. There's a challenge on for third place, which is Kevin Ludford having a look. Welcome back to the championship, Kevin. Gary Lawrence was in front. Now as they go down into Abbey, it is Andrew Porter who goes through. So it's Andrew Porter, the race leader. Super start from him. Gary Lawrence wants to get the lead back. So go through the right-hander at Village through Loop now, and about to head down towards the Hangar Straight, which is where they're coming from now. John Jones has made a quick start up ahead of John. We've got Pete Smith, who is the leader. John Jones in second place ahead of Chris Valentine and Hugh Pert. But we've got another change for the lead, and down on the inside line again goes Gary Lawrence. So technically that's the third pass of the lap already. So Andrew Porter is the challenger again. He's going to have a look down the inside line and goes through, reclaims lead position. Superb start. Remember, Lawrence had pole. Porter and Lawrence were vying for it. Then we got Porter into the lead, then Lawrence, and now we've got back in lead position the number 33 of Andrew Porter. If the race continues like this, we'll be well chuffed. But what an opening lap. Very evenly matched, these two. An issue there for one of the very much slower Alfa Romeos, who does stick to the outside line. I think that was Kevin Gallagher, as Gary Lawrence wants to try and get the lead back. So this is into the right-hander at Abbey, and then where they are now, going around. Little mistake there from Andrew Porter, and that's punished. And pouncing, going through is Gary Lawrence back into the lead. Another change for the lead, and we're only on lap 2. This has been a sensational start to the race meeting. Now, because we've got 6 starters in the Boxsters as well, it means that we've got the full amount of points on offer for the championship, and that's going to have ramifications for sure over the course of the weekend. So it's Gary Lawrence out front. Andrew Porter, after that wee mistake, in second place. Anthony Hutchins is next from Andrew Pritchard, and then we've got Kevin Ludford and Andrew Baker in 5th and 6th at the moment. Great to welcome Kevin Ludford back, and indeed Andy Baker. And Ludford first one of the year. Andy Baker was with us at Brands Hatch for the start of the year, the man from Sheppey that had a retirement in race 1. Double header to get us underway. This is another triple header this weekend, and the third race will be the Porsches on their own. But it's difficult for the organiser, obviously for value for money for everybody. They want to try and share out the track time as best they can. That was James Ford, who Andrew Porter, beg pardon, Richard Ford, who he just passed. The 56 car is Kevin Gallagher. Seems to have speeded up a little bit. But it's Gary Lawrence, the race leader, Andrew Porter, those two putting a little bit of a gap now. There was a change for third, but it changes back because Hutchins back on the inside line of Lee Bowden to go back through into third place. Gary Lawrence building up a little bit of a gap here. It's going to be crucial here for Gary Lawrence to stay in front. The points differential between a win and second place on full points is just 2 points, so that will take Lawrence up to 161.5, and will still be 2 behind Porter. So there is Andrew Porter. So championship wise, very much all to play for, although Porter on total scores is a little bit further ahead because the points championship takes into account drop scores, and Gary Lawrence has got 3 retirements so far. Andrew Porter just has the 1. It's a fascinating battle. Talking of which, we've got another one here with John Jones coming under pressure from Hugh Pert. Hugh, the Classic 924 Championship leader, goes through, and that's for third place. We've got Chris Valentine ahead of them. Hugh Pert further back than we would expect to see him, as Anthony Hutchins continues in third place from Lee Bowden. Anthony, the former Mazda driver, moving over from the BRSCC Mazda MX-5s, and Gary Lawrence looking pretty good at the moment. Traffic falling relatively well for him. He's got Andrew Bork in his Alpha between himself and the second place man, as we ride on board with John Jones, who got up to second initially. Chris Valentine now second. There is Gary Lawrence still out front, and will be looking to just break the toe away from Andrew Porter. The two of them pretty close together in qualifying, as we watch Lee Bowden trying to hunt down. Bowden is 4th in the championship, Anthony Hutchins 5th, and with Nick Hull 3rd in the table, not here this weekend, and full points on offer, it's an opportunity for Bowden and Hutchins to maybe nip up to 3rd and 4th in the championship. Qualifying time, Gary Lawrence 116.7, Andrew Porter 116.8, 8.5, 7.6 for Lawrence, so pretty close between those two. And the race, a little bit of a lottery given that they've got some traffic. The faster Boxsters, as you can see, much quicker than the slower Alphas, but the Alphas, I think, getting the front of the grid start that you saw, because 1 or 2 of them are quite heavily modified and therefore faster. And if you look in the blue book, the thinking is that the faster categories will go off the start. So Porter chasing, he's going to come down the inside line of one of the Alphas into the S's, Vale the first part, and now out of the chicane and into club corner, which is here, and then past the wing. Fairly iconic building, it has to be said, in British motor racing now, and all of the drivers enjoying the pit facilities which the Formula 1 drivers enjoy here at Silverstone, although technically we're only actually on half the track, but more than enough. We can run 2 meetings at any one time at Silverstone. There is Anthony Hutchins still having a good run in 3rd place, but Lee Bowden not that far behind. They've opened up, and Bowden goes through on the inside line, takes 3rd position again. Anthony Hutchins has got work to do, and Hutchins gets a much better run, or does he, as they come out of Loop, head onto this straight, which is where Gary Lawrence is still in lead position, coming down into Stowe Corner, keeping it nice and wide. He'll come out there to the curbs, grab the curb on the inside line, little look back to 3rd place. So Anthony Hutchins still there, Lee Bowden trying to hunt him down and get back onto the podium, and Andrew Porter has caught and passed the race leader again, going down into Vale. Great move by Porter, was hard on the brakes, goes through, reclaims the lead. That must be about the 4th or 5th change for the lead we've had, including getting off the line, because remember the second place man beat the pole man off the line. Pole here is the outside, and the one thing we've seen from Gary Lawrence so far is that he'll be keen to try and fight back. So it's Lawrence P2 and Andrew Porter out front. Porter with just one retirement. That was race 1 at Croft earlier on in the year, back in July. His only retirement of the season. It's a fairly long season, a fair amount of races with mainly treble headers at each circuit. It was a double header on Anglesey and a double header at Brands at the start of the year. So Brands, if you like, two race meeting. Nice appetite where to really having 2 races to start off on the Indy circuit at Brands. And that was the 300 at Snetterton. Cadwell Park followed that. Gary Lawrence trying to close up again. Treble header at Croft. Back at Brands in August we had another double header, and then double header at Anglesey, and a triple header this weekend here on the international circuit in Silverstone. And we wrap up at Donington on the 19th and 20th of October. So if you can get along to join us, you'd be very welcome to watch some great racing. And as you've probably heard on one of our previous programmes, we've got the longer race and the possibility for drivers to have a shared car race, which is going to be an absolutely fascinating event. Now, as this is a fascinating race, Gary Lawrence has closed in again on Andrew Porter, and he's looking to try and get back in front. Remember, he needs to. Whoever gets fastest lap bags an extra point as well. So if it stays as it is at the moment, and I can tell you that Andrew Porter has potentially that extra point for fastest lap, Porter will come out of this with 26 points. So Lawrence is 23, so he'll move another three points clear in the championship. And that, you know, one single point could be a winning championship margin, so he'll take whatever he can get. But Gary Lawrence will be keen to get back in. If Lawrence can hop back in front, Lawrence will get 25, Porter will be on for 24. He's well clear in that little group behind the black 924, and Pete will grab some more points in his chase of Hugh Pert, the championship leader. Porter still chasing. Dab on the brakes there from Gary Lawrence, the race leader, who's got to focus very much on the traffic in front of him when it appears, and also what's going on in behind when the race leader is looming in his mirrors. I think he might get slightly further clear on Hanger Straight. Seems to get a good exit from loop onto the Hanger Straight. You can see has gapped the second place car a wee bit, but Porter looks slightly stronger on the run down into Vale. So coming out of Stowe now, whether the traffic's going to interfere with things. So Lawrence going to the outside line here. Very clear intention from those back markers. Good to see. And are they all going to be cleared here? Let's have a look and see whether they are. Simon Cresswell, it's really difficult if you're a back marker, if you've got lefts and rights there as you go into Vale and then Club. But it all came out okay in the wash, and through they go again. And it's still very much a battle for the lead onto another lap, very much in the closing step, 20-minute race, and here comes again, and big pressure being applied here by Andrew Porter once again, as Gary Lawrence is still there and out front. So Lawrence comes back onto the Hanger Straight for what I reckon is the penultimate time on the clock. So Andrew Porter still chasing, very clearly has got the speed, but at the moment just not enough of that speed to be able to nip through and grab lead position. Stowe for the penultimate time, Lawrence leading, looking to get back on the top step of the podium. Haven't seen him there since race 2 at Croft. He had a retirement after Croft. That's when his points started to, I think, come undone a little bit. That was his second retirement of the year. Anglesey, Brands Hatch was okay. 2 second places, albeit to Andrew Porter, who's got down the inside line. And Porter grabs the lead. Lawrence is forced wide. But there's a good run off there, and Lawrence gets a good run. Whether Porter came off the gas slightly, perhaps thinking unfair advantage, I don't know. But what a battle for the lead. Lawrence reclaims it. We've had so many changes in the lead. Superb Porsche Boxster Racing here, and it's Gary Lawrence back out in front. This the last lap, and Lawrence it is that is in lead position. Andrew Porter in second, managed to nose his way down the inside line, but it's Lawrence that fights back and holds the lead, dabs onto the brakes. Oh, the back end's coming round, that's going to scrub speed, and it's a half spin for Gary Lawrence, and that is the cone goes for a Burton, and the winner's gone for a Burton too for Gary Lawrence. He needs to get fired up quickly. Is he going to recover? It's got to be now Andrew Porter's win. Lawrence makes a quick enough recovery. He's in second position. Anthony Hutchins is still in third. And this is the view from the second place man, Gary Lawrence, who has given us superb entertainment in this race, I have to say. Passing, and then getting passed again by Andrew Porter. And Porter's got a big gap now. He's coming towards the checkered flag, through Vale, up towards Club for the last time. And Porter will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is his 6th win on the bounce, Andrew Porter. Watch for the checker. There it is. Porter wins. Second position goes to Gary Lawrence. He's not there yet. Into Vale. Round Club corner. Sometimes seems never-ending corner. Very, very long corner. There's the checker. Gary Lawrence in second place. And third position in class goes to Anthony Hutchins, then Lee Bowden from Kevin Ludford and Andrew Baker. Andrew Porter confirmed as having the fastest lap. And in the 924s, Pete Smith winning from Chris Valentine, Hugh Pert and John Jones. Pete Smith getting the fastest lap there.
Here we have our race 1 winner, Andrew. Andy, great race out there. You really put the pressure on Gary throughout and forced him into that mistake on the last lap.
Yeah, it's one of the best races I've been involved in. We were passing each other, it seemed every lap, and we always have a good race, a good clean racing, and then just in the last lap Gary ran out of talent, and luckily for me I picked the pieces up.
Extend your championship lead a little bit. Is that something that's a focus for you this weekend?
Not really, because anything can happen, so it's nice to have a win. I'll be trying for more the rest of the weekend, but see what happens when we go to Donington.
Gary, an unfortunate spin there on the last lap of the first race this weekend in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. That's pretty gutting.
Yeah, that's a hard one to take, and it was such a silly spin as well. There was really no need for it. I mean, there's loads of grip coming onto Hanger Straight, but for whatever reason, I just had a bit of an idiot moment and got my comeuppance, but still got second, so that's all right. Well done to Andy, because to be fair, if he wouldn't have been so close, I probably wouldn't have spun, because we were both giving. I think we passed each other 5 or 6 times. I mean, it is a fantastic race to be in. So no, it should be good. I lost that one, but if I was a betting man, I'd probably say that I'm going to beat him in the next 2 races.
Welcome back. Race 2 here for the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship, and the 924's just coming into view at the back of the field. Hugh Pert in blue gets into line. The grid sees Andrew Porter on pole from Gary Lawrence, then Anthony Hutchins and Lee Bowden, Kevin Ludford and Andrew Baker completing the Boxsters, the 924's Pete Smith, Chris Valentine, Hugh Pert and John Jones. Alpha's away at the head of the field, and then we await the Union flag start for our second race of 3 this weekend for the Toyo Tires runners. And I'm looking forward to this battle here between Andrew Pritchard once again and Gary Lawrence as we flick onboards with them. And it's a good start, not so good for Lee Bowden in black. Hasn't made a great start, but it's a decent enough start from the front runner. Going to tell you what, Gary Lawrence is back at the moment in third. Anthony Hutchins has a super start, right of shot. Hutchins has got the lead, got his nose in front as they go into Abbey. Gary Lawrence looking a little bit squirrely. It's still a very damp track, as you can see, and some moisture coming up onto the screen for Gary Lawrence, but Gary knows it's a long enough race to be able to recover. Andy Baker in the mix. Tell you what, it's John Jones leading the classic 924s at the moment. Back into the lead though goes Andrew Porter. Hutchins ran a little bit wide. Here's the view from Gary Lawrence, about to challenge for second place, getting the power down on Hanger Straight. Having a good look, Anthony Hutchins to the outside line. Gary Lawrence is through, and are we going to get a resumption of battle for the Boxster class? I think they're going to be side by side for a second going into Stowe Corner. It is wet. wet conditions and Porsche, obviously a difficult combination. Anthony Hutchins holding on well there on the outside line, maintains second place. So Gary Lawrence potentially here losing further ground in the championship on Andrew Porter, who's out front. But look at Lawrence sticking doggedly to the outside line there, thinking about a fast run through the S's in third place. So it is at the end of lap number 1. Andrew Porter, the race leader, Anthony Hutchins in second. Third place is Gary Lawrence, who ride on board with Gary again. Lee Bowden is next up. Following Lee is Kevin Ludford. Andy Baker in 6th position. And again, 6 starters meaning full championship points here. Gary Lawrence will be keen to get back as he looks into second position inside line of Anthony Hutchins. Hutchins got good momentum on the exit here last time out, but I think it's job done, isn't it, for the number 3 car back up into P2. And Lee Bowden, who we saw spinning away the third place challenge in race number 1, is still there as John Jones is passed by Peter Smith. Lovely move by Peter, so a pass in the classic 924s. It's Chris Valentine leading the 924s at the moment, just towards the back of shot. Pete Smith second, John Jones in third place, and Hugh Pert a little bit off colour, the early pace setter in the championship, and indeed still leading the championship, Hugh Pert, by I think 3.5 points by my maths from Peter Smith in car with John Jones, third position at the moment. An opportunity here, Pete Smith to close down more on the championship lead. Andy Baker trying to hunt down Kevin Ludford at the moment. Those two 5th and 6th, Ludford in the sort of multicoloured car. Anthony Hutchins 3rd again in the 80 car. And Gary Lawrence in P2, but starting to hunt down the race leader. So is it going to be a double here for Andrew Porter? Oh, getting very close with the Alphas. And again, this is one of the issues with lefts and rights in succession and slower cars to have to deal with, and it can come into play. Drivers enjoy having someone to race with. There's good momentum here for Gary Lawrence, who's going to pop his nose in front. We switch away from Gary's onboard just as he was poised to maybe have a look on the outside line. Later on down the track, that did seem to be not blocked, but the line that it looked like he was going to take was occupied by an Alpha as we ride on board with John Jones once again in 6.39. Good shot, there is some blue sky here, so the track hopefully over the course of this race will start to dry up. The lap times will begin to tumble as through goes Hugh Pert. So Pert through into 3rd place. Good move down the inside line from the championship leader, the man from Northwood, but John Jones taking it back to him on the outside. Lovely racing between the pair of them here as they go through Stowe Corner. Down into bad contact between the two. That was a little bit more than door handling between the two. I don't like using the word robust racing, but it's the one that immediately springs to mind as Gary Lawrence goes for the lead. Gary Lawrence through on the inside line at Abbey. They're side by side. Farm is a left-hander, so here we are into Farm. Porter's got the initiative of the inside line here, but Lawrence is maintaining the outside as they go through into Village, the next right-hander where they are. So Lawrence is out front, but going for the switchback on the inside is Andrew Porter. Nothing quite doing there, so Gary Lawrence has got in front. I think we might be on for a replay of race number 1 again, and I'm all for that. There's Tom Hill in the number 1, the multi-champion BRSCC Alfa Romeo driver. Andrew Porter back on the case of Gary Lawrence, who is intimating he wants to go down the inside line. That is particularly unhelpful. Looked like a mid-track stance there from the Alfa, and very nearly leaves a gap. Gary Lawrence will not be overly happy about that. A little bit of indecision there from the Alfa. You know, go one way or the other, but mid-track, I think he was again trying to just sort of hedge and say, if I leave the car in the middle, then the Porsche, which is infinitely faster, will choose one line, either the inside or the outside. But it really compromised the race leader there. Still equally matched with Andrew Porter. So still a good race between these two in our second of 3 races, remember, triple header. And Lawrence could, if this finishes the way they are, just checking the scenario, Gary Lawrence has got fastest lap at the moment, this will reverse the points we had from race number 1. So they'll be back where they were gap-wise. That's now down the inside line. I speak too soon, because through on the inside goes Andrew Porter, grabbing the lead back from Gary Lawrence. And it is, apart from it being wetter, is almost a repeat of race number 1. Now Gary Lawrence, I think that was being compromised by the Alfa. He lost a little bit of momentum and for sure would have lost a little bit of flow. And again, talk to any driver, they'll tell you that the getting into the rhythm of the race is important, and that definitely went with that car that they were trying to pass. And Andrew Porter, who's got the rhythm of wins at the moment, as I mentioned earlier on in the race, again, not helpful by the Alphas here, going one way then the other, and this is bringing Gary Lawrence back into the mix as well. This is an unsatisfactory, sideways moment for Porter, who gets it all crossed up, has a little tap from Gary Lawrence. There was nowhere for Gary to go. I hope they haven't damaged the cars. It's Porter down to P2, Gary Lawrence back into the lead, and well, by my mind, it'd be interesting to hear the driver's take on it. As far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no doubt that the Alphas, a couple of the Alphas have got in the way. I don't think they've intended to, but they've not known what to do. Maybe the Parks could do with just having a talk through what they need to do on those scenarios, as again Lawrence goes wide and Porter's got his nose back in front. They're going to be side by side as they come through loop, and back in front goes Andrew Porter. Both of these guys 100% determined to take the win. This is about the race win, it's about the championship as well, and Gary Lawrence knows that. He's on the gas, coming down Hanger Straight, side by side with Andrew Porter, and Porter can only watch as the original meeting pole position man goes back in front again. What a fascinating battle between these two this weekend. So it's Gary Lawrence back out front. Remember, we've had 6 wins on the bounce for the man we ride on board with at the moment. He's always quick here into Vale. Look, closing up again. Lawrence is getting defensive on the inside. Again, doesn't move too far over to the right. Doesn't get too aggressive. Porter has a look around the outside line. Get on the gas, you're going to get squirrely. No, he isn't. As across the line to take the win is Gary Lawrence. Lawrence wins it. Porter in second. Third is going to be Anthony Hutchins. Another great race between those two. 4th position goes to, third position Lee Bowden, 4th to Anthony Hutchins, and then Andrew Baker and Kevin Ludford in the 924's. Pete Smith came through for the win. Then it was Chris Valentine from Hugh Perk, John Jones in 4th.
By just over half a second. They were 4th.
Gary, well done on your race 2 victory. Kind of makes up for yesterday's disappointment. How do you feel?
Yeah, really happy with that. It was really tricky conditions. Obviously, had a safety car, but we made some minor changes and they sort of seemed to work. But there was really nothing between myself and Andy again. But no, really pleased with that. If I'm honest, if I was going to make a prediction, I would predict that later on today I'll probably beat him as well. So yeah, but we'll see.
Andy, difficult race 2 out there for you. Talk us through, because it looked like Gary kind of had the mark on you there.
Yeah, I mean, difficult, the conditions, really wet, and being out there with the Alphas, having to go past all of them and the safety car, it's a bit of a disrupted race. I knew we swapped places backwards and forwards, and just like yesterday, we had a really good race, but yeah, just couldn't manage to get past him.
It's unfortunate, but you've got another race this afternoon. Do you think you can nick victory?
I'll do everything I can, but with the pace of Gary's car around here, I'll probably struggle, but I'll do my best.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there. Congratulations once again.
Cheers.
Chris, second place there in race 2. Difficult conditions out there this morning. It's been raining overnight. Has that made it difficult for you?
Well, to be honest, I was actually hoping for rain, because having beaten Pete in the wet at Brands Hatch, the first time I've ever won in the PDA, I thought to myself, a couple more races in the wet, maybe 2 more wins, so bring it on. Yeah, it was very challenging, to be honest. This side of the circuit was still very wet, whereas out in Stowe, because it gets sun on it, it dried out, so great fun, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good to see. What can you do this afternoon? We're not sure what the weather's going to do. There's some dark clouds out there. You're hoping for more rain?
Yeah, still would like a wet race, but we'll see what happens. The wind's picked up. It's a bit of blue sky, so it'll probably dry out. We'll do a few settings tweaks and just see how we crack on.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there. Congratulations once again on your second place.
Thank you very much.
It's the final race this weekend at Silverstone for the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Watch out for the 924 class. We saw some great action there in race 2, and I expect the same again in this final race. It's over to our commentary team to take you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lloyd. The reverse grid sees Kevin Ludford on pole from Andrew Baker, Anthony Hutchins and Lee Bowden row 2, Andrew Porter and Gary Lawrence about to renew their hostilities in the nicest possible way. They're on row 3. John Jones and Hugh Pert ahead of Chris Valentine and Pete Smith for the classic 924s. Ready for the start here on the international circuit. Gary Lawrence starts on the back row of the grid. This is his opportunity again to try and close down on Andrew Porter, who makes an absolutely stonking start. Very quick indeed. They're both past Lee Bowden, but it's a good start out front with Anthony Hutchins, the chaser at the moment, in car with Gary Lawrence, but the race leader is Kevin Ludford. So it's Ludford in front, challenge on for third place, Lawrence going through. Anthony Hutchins was challenging for the lead out front. Andy Baker off the back, so it's Hutchins from Ludford, then Gary Lawrence. Andrew Porter in 4th place. Don't forget the 924 battle as well. Pete Smith could grab the championship lead here by my maths, as Lawrence comes down Hanger Straight. Much drier conditions, side by side here for 2nd position. Lawrence about to grab it on the way in towards Stowe. Kevin Ludford is on the outside line. Ludford down to 3rd, down to 4th now because Porter goes through as well. Just realised it's very much a home race for Kevin Ludford. Comes from Milton Keynes, but wonderful to see him back on the grid. And Lee Bowden looks around the outside line of him as they come down into Vale. Is Lee going to get that done? He does. Super move around the outside line. Good respectful racing from the pair. And Andy Baker is in the mix as well, trying to close up, the former production champion. Andrew Porter challenging for 2nd place, so a repeat of the racing that we've had in races 1 and 2, but this time for 2nd position because it is Anthony Hutchins, the man from Rye, who is new driver to the championship this year. Missed 2 meetings. I hope we'll see a lot more of him in the final race at Donington, as Porter again all over the back at the moment of Gary Lawrence. These two, I really hope in many ways the championship goes down to the last race of the year as Hutchins goes down the inside line and for the umpteenth time this weekend passes Gary Lawrence. Are we going to see Lawrence repass for the umpteenth time as well? We had some super racing from a pair of them, clean racing as well. It's been a joy to watch. But it's Hutchins Hutchins leading, Porter P2 ahead of Gary Lawrence, then Lee Bowden. We've got Pete Smith leading the 924s again and set to take the championship lead. Rest that from Hugh Pert if they finish the way they are at the moment. So Lawrence back in P2. This again a 20-minute race and Alpha free, so we won't have any issues with back markers. And as I said in the previous races, there's never an intention for the back markers to balk, but it's a very, very difficult when you've got a fast car coming up on you to know, particularly where you've got the S-bends, where to place the car. But to my mind, it did interfere with a couple of the passes that we had, a couple of the battles that we had, certainly in the Boxster class over the course of races 1 and 2. But I think the results that we've had have probably been fair, to say the least. Hutchins still out front, 2 cars in front. Here he is in red, white and blue. Then Andrew Porter in 2nd place at the moment. Gary Lawrence still on for another podium, but remember losing a couple of points here. Again, it's 6 starters, so full championship points available. Porter still the man who drops scores in the championship, having had an extremely reliable and fast season so far. As they go through Stowe Corner again, still Anthony Hutchins out front, but just get the impression that Porter and Lawrence are that little bit quicker. They have been through the course of the meeting, but Hutchins will take a wee bit of confidence here for having led convincingly, got into the lead convincingly, led for a couple of laps now, and they're not all over the back of him at the minute because they're, I think, probably jousting with each other as well. Across the line they go, or toying with each other, we probably should say, a little bit as Gary Lawrence has a look down the inside line, goes back to the outside. Going to use this configuration for the first time next year in the British Touring Car Championship, which is going to be fantastic because it's a really good circuit with plenty of overtaking opportunities as Gary Lawrence is about to try and prove. They're both going to prove. Attacking Anthony Hutchins, Lawrence goes up into second, or does he? We ride side by side. No, he doesn't. He tried. But Andy Porter holds on to second place. This is probably allowing Anthony Hutchins to maintain the lead at the moment, and I think Lawrence just wants to get second place done rather than follow the leader through. We'll see how this develops. We've still got Lee Bowden next up, then Kevin Ludford and Andy Baker relatively close in 5th and 6th still, and we'll probably at some stage during the race catch up with some of the classic 924 runners as well. With the we didn't so much in the second race because of the safety car. Because we've only got 3 more races going at Donington Park. Remember, the final meeting at Donington features a 40-minute race with double points, which we really look forward to in car with Andrew Porter once again. And 94s, remember, Pete Smith still leading. Plenty of racing going on for the podium positions in the 924s, but Smith, by my reckoning, is going to take the championship lead here, or exit from the Silverstone International meeting with the championship lead as we go to Donington Park. Smith, remember, didn't join the championship till the 3rd event at Cadwell Park, so good achievement for him. So it's Lawrence leading, Porter 2nd, Hutchins 3rd, Lee Bowden is next, and then side by side still between Hugh Pert and John Jones. Gary Lawrence looking relatively comfortable at the moment as we ride on board with Andrew Porter. This is where he's put on a couple of moves on Gary Lawrence in this race, but Lawrence has got the Avery's car very much on the road, thinking ahead, good lines, and starting to build a little bit of a lead, really getting into that race rhythm that we were talking about earlier on. Across the line he goes again, ticks off another lap here. Super stuff. Here come the battling 924s once again. Hugh Pert and John Jones. What a super race they're having. And Hugh taking a wide line here. Could well challenge. They're going through Abbey. Not really close enough at the moment. Heading towards Farm. We're back on board with Andrew Porter in 2nd position. Still busy chasing Gary Lawrence. Porter's just put in fastest lap again, 1:17.545, 85.92 miles per hour, and that is Anthony Hutchins out of the race. So Lee Bowden is up to 3rd. Hutchins, who led for so long and so well, is sadly out of the race. John Jones still in 2nd. I'm wondering when they're going to catch Pete Smith, the 2 leaders. We haven't seen Pete yet. And here they go past me, get between them. These 2 well clear. So Lee Bowden will be on for another podium. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be a 7th podium of the year for Lee Bowden if he hangs on to it. Kevin Ludford running in 4th. It would be good for Kevin to bag a podium. I think potentially a first podium if he can close down them, but he's got a lot of work to do. You can see Lee Bowden in the distance there. He's got a good lead, but if either of the 2 race leaders take each other. Now look at this, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the 924s, all in one shot after a long weekend of racing. And Hugh Pert still putting the pressure on, trying to get P2 away from John Jones. Chris Valentine is in the mix as well. Valentine's closed up on these 2, so this is a determined mid to late race from Chris Valentine closing in and looking to maintain his challenge for 3rd place in the championship, which he holds at the moment. In car with Andrew Porter again, 2nd place under the bridge down towards Stowe. Tell you what, Gary Lawrence looking comfortable still here with around about 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Hugh Pert coming under pressure now. Chris Valentine. Pert goes wide here. Valentine's going to try and do a Gary Lawrence there and get a good run down the hanger straight, maybe grab 3rd position. Meanwhile, some way ahead, here comes Lawrence down into Vale once again. This is a super race coming through into Club Corner. And across the line once again, Lawrence has just been able to keep, I was going to say arm's length, keep Porter at arm's length, but it's not quite that much of a gap, and Porter just not quite close enough to challenge as the three classics come down into Vale. You can see Valentine really caught Hugh Pert here and looking to get a podium finish. John Jones still in P2. He's only had one of those so far this year, which is surprising. That was the second race, the middle race at Snetterton on the 300 circuit. So back with the two leaders, and Gary Lawrence here is still there. Ah, the gyration for John Jones. That could have been a very nasty moment. Bad enough for him, but that could have been a big hit. But thankfully, both cars go past him. Hugh Pert into second, Chris Valentine into third. He was up and challenging them. And John Jones down into fourth place. There's Pete Smith, the leader of the 924s, being closed down on now by Gary Lawrence in the closing stages of the race. So Pert second, Valentine third. I was making the point that John Jones has had a big score of podium finishes. I'm surprised he hasn't had more than one second place, but spoke too soon there. Sadly spun it away, but has rejoined in fourth position. The fastest lap, by the way, unsurprisingly with the 924s, is still with Pete Smith. But this is looking relatively settled. The clock is ticking down, and we're on board with Andrew Porter. The gap is bigger than it was in race 1 and 2. This race has been in no way an anticlimax after our first two races. Porter running a little bit wide there, maybe taken a little bit more out of his tyres perhaps than Gary Lawrence has over the course of the meetings. It's Lawrence out front. It could still go the way of Andrew Porter. By my reckoning, this is the penultimate lap, so they're coming down through Stowe, and it's Lawrence still there out front at the moment. Porter's got the fastest lap. Championship-wise, this will mean that Porter will go on drop scores to 236 points, and Lawrence will have 233.5, which is 2.5 points the gap as we go to Donington, which is literally nothing. It's going to be about who gets the best results at Donington, which is exactly how a championship should finish. Lee Bowden will go third in the championship now. Anthony Hutchins is fourth by my reckoning, and Nick Hull fifth. And in the 924s, Pete Smith will assume the championship lead from Hugh Pert, with Chris Valentine ahead of John Jones by 2 points. That's subject to official confirmation. That's my quick arithmetic as we run through this race. As you can see, Valentine not finished yet, could still get P2 and take another point out of Hugh Pert. But on the last tour, this has been a super weekend for both Gary Lawrence and Andrew Porter, and it's going to be 2 wins for Lawrence by the look of it. We better hold our breath on that one, because we did see the problem on the last lap of the first race. But here comes Gary Lawrence down the hanger straight into Stowe for the last time. Andrew Porter around about 1.5 seconds behind, but good points from Porter once again, and maintaining the lead of the championship, which is advantage Porter going into the last event of the year, which I hope you'll join us for. But Gary Lawrence is going to make it 2 wins out of 3. Into Vale for the last time. The man from Devon feeds through, out of Vale, into Club Corner now. The checkered flag is being readied for him as he comes out of the final turn. Where's the reward? There it is, checkered flag. Gary Lawrence wins. Andrew Porter second. Lee Bowden will take third place. Lee is a little bit further back. Here comes Lee around the final turn and takes the checkered flag for third. It's a win for Pete Smith in the 924 category, but here's the official result. Gary Lawrence from Andrew Porter, Lee Bowden, Kevin Ludford and Andrew Baker. Retirement for Anthony Hutchins, fastest lap Andrew Porter. And in the classic Boxsters, Pete Smith makes it 3 out of 3 from Hugh Pert, Chris Valentine, John Jones, and fastest lap to Pete Smith, the winner.
Gary, your third podium position, 2 wins today. That's not a bad way of closing the title, is it?
No, I was happy with that weekend. Yeah, I was hoping to go with clean sweep, but I threw the lead away on the last lap yesterday. No, really good. Great race just then, especially because I only had 3rd and 5th gear. well, I had first, third and fifth. That's all I had to, and obviously off the start line I thought it was going to be a nightmare, but any other circuit that would have been a massive issue, but this is so fast and flowing, as long as you try and keep the momentum going, it sort of sorted itself out. So yeah, really happy with that, really unexpected.
Andrew, tough race there, second place. Talk us through it.
Well, Gary, we knew he had a problem with his gearbox when he had a couple of gears, so I did that. I think I'd probably win the race, but I just couldn't get the car to hang us straight, and every time down there with the speed of his car, he just pulled away. Managed to close him back in, but every lap he just managed to get away from me again. There's nothing I could do. The problems he had in the car, it was a great race, a great win for him. Just shame I couldn't get him.
Closes him up a little bit in the points going into Donington, but you've pretty much got the hand on that trophy.
I wouldn't quite go that far. Anything can happen at Donington. Just take every race at a time and see what happens when it's all finished.
Brilliant 924 win there in the final race this weekend. It's been exciting in the 924 class all weekend, hasn't it? But you've walked away 3 from 3.
Yeah, well, luckily I missed all the excitement because that's been going on behind. But yeah, I think the key was to get a good start, put a gap in between us and kind of stay out of trouble, because there's been a bit of rubbing going on, a bit of nudging, and it's good to try and stay away from all that if you can. So yeah, perfect weekend really. 3 wins, 3 fastest laps, so maximum points, which I needed, because Hugh is, well, before the weekend was 6 points ahead, so I think we're just about even. I might have 1 or 2 points on Hugh now, but Donington's a double race points at the end, so whatever happens, I think it's going to come down to that. So it's going to be exciting. Can't wait, really.
Yeah, and hopefully there's going to be a couple more 924s out as well, we hear.
I believe so, yeah, and that'll mix things up, because if it's double points again, well, normal points, and a double points race, then it literally will be down to that 40-minute stint. So, and I've never done one before, so that'll be interesting.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you out there in Donington in a couple of weeks, and congratulations on all 3 of your victories this weekend.
Cheers, thank you very much.